Hey guys, and welcome to this playthrough of Root with me, Time and Tactics. I will be playing as Marquise de Cat against the Eyrie Dynasties and the Woodland Alliance, but it's not going to be a normal playthrough. Instead, I'll be playing against the challenge you can find in the app. So there are quite a few challenges in the app, and the one I'm going for here is the classical challenge on normal difficulty level, as you can see on the screen here. So I will be setting up the game on the board, but I will actually have the opponents, the Eyrie Dynasty and the Woodland Alliance, play out their turn on the board with me. So that's how we're going to do the game. Let's get on with it. Welcome to the table, where I've set up the game before we do our individual setups. So we have our items up here. We have our 4 ruins on the map, but that's pretty much it. The next step would be to get our individual cards. We get 3 cards each. Let's see what we get. The first one is Anvil. Anvil is a fox card. Takes also a workshop in a fox clearing to craft. But if we do get this one, we can craft that anvil, and that gives us 2 victory points. That is pretty good. For the second card, we get Command Warren. That's a rabbit card. It takes 2 workshops in rabbit clearings, and if we do craft this one, at the start of daylight we can initiate a battle. The start of daylight. Okay, so that's free then, instead of having to do an action here. Okay. And then finally we get a third card, Ambush. Okay, so this one is pretty good. If we defend in a clearing, a fox clearing, we can then, before battle actually takes place, we can remove 2 warriors of the enemy. That's pretty good, but only in fox clearings. Okay, so that would be us. We get 3 cards. Now let's go ahead and set up the Woodland Alliance and the Eyrie Dynasty. For the Woodland Alliance, they get 3 cards here for their supporters. Now they're gonna be set up with 1 card for rabbits, 1 card for mouse, 1 card for fox. But we'll see that later on when they do their turn. And then they get 3 cards in their hand that they can use for crafting and whatnot. Okay, so let's put that here. And then finally we give Eyrie Dynasty 3 cards as well in their hand. Okay, so I think that's pretty much ready to go. What I need to do now, since I am Marquise de Cat, I get to set up my keep before anybody gets to do anything else. Next after that would be the Eyrie Dynasty, and then finally Woodland Alliance. I think I'm going to go and set up my keep up here. Let's do that. And then we also get to build 1 of each type of building at the beginning of the game. I'm going to start with the workshop here, because as you can see on this card here, the anvil, it does take 1 workshop in a fox clearing, and then we can build it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right away. And I'm going to make that my home. My home clearing, obviously. That's the fox. Okay, good. We also have access to these 3 clearings where we can put our initial buildings. So we have a second one here. This one, Command Warren, well, that will let us initiate a battle. If we build this one, we need to have 2 workshops in rabbit clearing, so we could go for that there, maybe. So maybe what we'll do is we'll take... we'll take the sawmill, put it here in mouse, and then finally we'll take our recruiter and put it over here. And I think that's pretty good. Now I need to put out all of my cats everywhere except where the Eyrie Dynasty is going to set up, and that's over here, diagonal from my keep. So let's go ahead and do that. And that should do it. Now we are fully set up for us. Now let's go ahead and set up the the Eyrie Dynasty. They're going to start over here with their first roost. No victory points for that. And then they get 6 warriors here in this clearing. And then, after they have done that, we are setting up the Woodland Alliance. Now, Woodland Alliance doesn't start with anything, so they don't get to do anything. They have to wait till their turn. And that means it's now my first turn. Actually, before I do my turn, we have to do one more thing for the Eyrie Dynasty, and they have to select their leader. They have no leader right now. Here are their leaders. And in this case, they pick the charismatic leader. This one over here. And for this one, that means they have to put their viziers in the recruit and battle slots. And the benefit of having the charismatic leader is that he may place 2 warriors, not 1, each time he recruits. So I bet he's going to recruit quite a bit. Put it there. Put the other ones to the side. And we're going to put them at recruit and battle. So that means it may look like he can't build his turn, but when his turn comes around, he's going to place 1 or 2 more cards out here. And if he plays his build, he can still do build, but he's going to battle for sure. So now it's my turn. So turn 1, I get to start. Let's start with Birdsong. I place 1 wood at my one and only sawmill. There. That's it. Let's move on to daylight. I can craft, and I think I will craft. I'll craft this anvil. The one that requires a workshop in a fox clearing, which we do have at home at our keep, right up there. So let's go ahead and do that and discard that. And that gives me 2 victory points. Let's go ahead and get that item. We'll put it up here. 2 victory points. And then we move into the actual actions. I can take 3 actions. If I had a bird card, I could take another one, but I don't. So I can take 3. I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to build a recruiter up here. Let's go ahead and do that. That takes 1 wood, as you can see. And then we grab that wood over here. It's connected through my clearings that I control. Put it back in there, and we gain 1 victory point. Up to 3 now. And then for my second action, let's go ahead and recruit and get a couple of those cats in there. And that's my second action. Now, because I have 3 of my warriors in there, that means for the Woodland Alliance to put down a sympathy, they would have to use 2 of those rabbit cards, which, yeah. So I think that's going to be helpful to avoid having them show up there in that clearing. So then for my last action, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and march. I'm going to pick up this cat over here, move over there, and then I'll take the 2 of them and move over here. And now we have the same situation in this clearing over here. So we have 3 kind of blocking him, hopefully, from showing up there. So we'll see what he does there. It does on the board next. But before we do that, let's go ahead and end my turn with Evening Phase. I get to draw 1 card. That's what you get by default. I don't have any other cards. If we get this one, I could get another card, but I'm going to draw another one. And that's Investments. Okay, so that's a mouse card. Didn't have that before. That's good. Takes 2 workshops, though, in rabbit clearings. But if we can get this one, we can craft this item for 3 victory points. I do have 2 rabbit clearings I control, but I have recruiters in there. I would have to take, well, I'll take this one, and then maybe this one down here. It's possible I could build a workshop here and a workshop there. Maybe I do want to do that next time. Yeah, that's possible. Anyway, that's the end of my turn, and now we move on to the Woodland Alliance. The first thing they do is spreading sympathy. They can't do revolt yet. They don't have sympathy anywhere. So to spread sympathy, they need to have a card. And they decide to spread sympathy here. That's my clearing. Okay. They need a mouse card for that, and they do. They have the dominance card, and that's a little bit different. Normally it would be discarded, but it won't be because it's a dominance card, and that means we can pick it up later. If we pick it up, that basically would replace our victory condition. Instead of having to have 30 victory points, we would have to have, own 3 mouse clearings at the start of our birdsong phase. We have to rule them. Do we have that? We rule this one right now. But you need to also have at least 10 victory points to get it. So there is that. It's going to be a while. I'm not going to pick it up now. And you do have to spend a mouse card to pick it up. So that card up there is now on the table, available. So that's their first thing they do in Birdsong. They can do more. They have more cards on hand. They gain no victory points by putting this here, as you can see over there. And for their second action within the Birdsong phase, they're going to spread sympathy again. And they decide to do it here. Let's see what they have. Yeah, they do have a fox card. Travel gear won't be used. We'll put that in the discard pile. And then we'll take one sympathy token and place it here. So now he has 2. Okay, yeah. He can't do it up here very easily, right? So that's why. And then for his third action within the Birdsong phase, he's going to do it again. He's going to place it, or a sympathy, over here this time. Let's see what card he has. Yes, he has a bird card, so he can do it. He places the sappers. He's going to place it here. And for that, he does gain, well, he gained a victory point for the first one. I mean, for the second one and for the third one. So he's up to 2 now. And that's all he can do in Birdsong. He's out of supportive now. For his daylight phase, he decides to craft, which he can do as many times as he wants, as long as he has control. And in his case, not control, but in his case, he needs to have sympathy in at least 2 mouse tokens to craft this one. And he has one here and one over there, so he can do it. So he's going to craft this card. It's going to be on his... It's not an item to get, but he's going to get the benefit here. As attacker in battle, you are not affected by ambush cards. We'll put that here. And then during daylight, he decides to mobilize, takes a card from his hand, and he adds that to the supporter pile. And then he does it again, a second time. And that's all he can do. He doesn't have anything else he can do. In the evening, he needs to have officers to take in military operations, but he does get 1 card from the draw pile. That goes into his hand. Like that. And that's it for the Woodland Alliance for turn 1. And now it's time for the Eyrie Dynasty. They're a little bit different, right? They have to place a decree, the first thing they do. Let's see what he places here. He places 1, and it is this one, Smuggler's Trail, as a move decree. That goes right over here. And then he executes his decree. And the first thing he has to do is recruit. So he recruits down here. We're using a bird card. He recruits in his rabbit clearing. And because he has a charismatic leader, he gets 2 of his warriors instead of 1. For his second decree, he has to do a move from a rabbit clearing. He has one here. He can do it. He takes 4 warriors and moves them in here. And for his third decree, he has to battle anywhere because he has a bird. So he decides to battle, well, right here, obviously. Okay, let's see what he rolls. And he rolls a 1-1. That's actually pretty good for me because I can only do 1 damage anyway. He picks the highest number, which is a 1. And so he removes 1 of mine. That goes home. And then he removes 1 of his. Now I can, if I want to, use my special ability, Field Hospital here, and bring it back home. This wasn't a mouse clearing. I do have investments. I could get rid of it, but maybe I can build this one. I'm going to decline to put him back home. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, I think. And that's it for his daylight phase. He's done with his decree. Moving on to the evening, he scores exactly 0 points, and he gains a card from the deck. And that's it for round 1. Now it's my turn for round 2. And I start with Birdsong. We place 1 wood at our sawmill over here. Moving into daylight, I can craft, but I don't have a way to craft right now. I need 2 workshops in rabbit clearings. So let's move on to our actions. We don't have a bird, so we can't do more than 3 actions. Let's start by building a workshop in this clearing over here. Cost 1 wood, which we can reach. The workshop here, 1 wood. Yep, so we're good on that. Let me just get rid of the wood. And then we'll put in a workshop. right here, and that's my first action. Well, I forgot. I need to give myself 2 victory points as well, so up to 5. For our second action, let's go ahead and recruit and give ourselves 2 more of our cats up there. And then for our third action, let's move. Let's march. So we get 2 move actions. Let's take 4 of these cats up there. And move them west. Because I figure we can get more cats up our recruitment center, right? We can get 2 more. And I don't think, the Woodland Alliance cannot put sympathy over there. They have no adjacent clearing where they already have sympathy. So that's good. That's our first move. First march. First part of the march. Let's do the second one. We'll take 2 of them up there by our keep and move them south. And I think that's pretty good. Now we have options down here, I think. Although this having 3 here will help you when you're trying to protect from having the Woodland Alliance using their sympathy, but they won't be doing that here. They already have that here. If anything, they're going to do revolt, so but we'll keep it there. Although, something I just forgot now is that it's a mouse clearing, and there's a token here. That's going to mean outrage, and we have something we can give to them. They require payment. Well, there are supporters there, and mouse supporters. We have to give them this one, investment. That's 3 victory points. Yeah, I messed up there. Let's go and give that to them. As a supporter, and that's pretty much it. So that means I'm down to my evening phase. Let's draw a new card. And I get Favor of the Foxes. This is the card I've heard of that. One of those that's a little bit OP. So if you have workshops in 3 fox clearings for this one, we can remove all enemy pieces in fox clearings, then discard this card. Yeah, okay. But I lost that investment. Okay, that's the end of my turn. For their birdsong, they decide, well, they're not going to do revolt anywhere. They're going to do sympathy. They're going to spread sympathy, and they're going to spread it here. And to do that, they're going to need 2 supporters to do it, 2 fox supporters or birds. Let's see what they have. The first one is Stand and Deliver. Yep, that's a fox. The second one is also Stand and Deliver, another fox. So they get sympathy spread over there. And that means they gain 1 victory point. And that's all they can do in Birdsong because they don't only have 1 supporter left. And as you can see here, it takes 2 to get one of the other ones spread. So what they do is they move on to Daylight. And in Daylight, they mobilize 1 card from their hand. And they have 1 card on their hand here to their supporter stack. And that's all they can do in Daylight. So they move on to Evening and they don't have any officers. So they're done. They're going to draw a card. Yeah, they don't have any base. Yeah, they can't do anything but that. So 1 more card to their hand. And that's the end of, yeah, that's right. That's the end of the Woodland Alliance's turn. And for the Eyrie, they have to, in Birdsong, expand their decree by 1 or 2. And they decide to expand using this card. The Crossbow, that's a mouse, and they do that as a move decree. So now they have to move twice from a mouse clearing and a rabbit clearing. So moving down to Daylight for the Eyrie, they now execute their decree, and they start by doing recruit. And they have the charismatic leader, so they get to recruit 2. They do that down here in their, well, that's their one and only roost, okay. For their second step, for their second part of the decrees, they do the move. And they they move from this mouse clearing, use the mouse card, over to this fox clearing with 2 warriors. But they're not done yet with their move. They have to do 1 more from a rabbit clearing. And they do that from here, where they move 3 of their warriors up north, up here. But when they do that, there is a sympathy token over there, so they have to pay a card And if they don't have one, a fox, then it comes from the deck, but they do have one. And they're going to give that to the Woodland Alliance, who gained another supporter over there. And then for their final decree, they have to battle anywhere they want. And they can battle here or here, but they decide to battle here against me. So normally we'd roll the die, but before that happens, I get the option to use my ambush card. It is a fox ambush, and as you probably know, I can do 2 damage right away before the battle, unless he has something to counter it. Let's go ahead and play that. And he's not countering it, that means 2 of them, well, both of them will die. Well, that's perfect. No battle in that area. And, well, he fulfilled his decree, didn't get anything really out of it down here, but that's great news. So now moving into the evening phase, he scores exactly 0 points and draws 1 card from the deck. And he goes right over here. And that's it. That's end of round 2, I think, right? Now we're back to me again. And then it's my turn again. Round 3. In Birdsong, I gain 1 wood, and only 1 wood, with my 1 sawmill over there. So we gain that here. And then in Daylight, I start by crafting. Well, I can't really craft, so I won't do any of that. And that means I have 3 actions I can take. I don't have a bird card, so I can't do a 4th one. And I think the first thing I'm going to do is to build a sawmill right over here by spending this wood. And then for my second action, we'll have 2 actions left. I think I'm going to go ahead and attack the Woodland Alliance here, because right now they could have a revolt there, and I would lose everything. So I want to get him out of here, and maybe we'll attack him here as well for our 2 final actions. Let's go ahead and do that. So since they only have a token, that means it's automatic. We don't have to roll, and I am able to eliminate this token right away. And I gain 1 victory point. Up to 6 now. And then that clearing is a mouse clearing, which means that the card they get, the supporter card, the outrage, is not from me because I don't have any like that. They have to take it from the deck. Like that. And then we'll attack here as well, I think. Let's go ahead and do that. So again, it's automatic. I have my 1 warrior. That's all I need. I'll take this off. And then I gain 1 victory point. Up to 7. And I just realized that I forgot to give myself a victory point for building the sawmill. So let's go ahead and bring it up to 8. And that should take care of that. But now we're in a fox clearing. I have to do outrage here. So they're going to get favor of the foxes here as well. And that is my 3rd action. I'm done with Daylight. So then we're moving on to the final phase, and that's the evening phase. We'll draw exactly 1 card. We don't have this one yet. I want to get this one so I can get 2, but what do we get? Ooh, we get Dominance. Rabbit. I win the game if I have 3 rabbit clearings I control at the start of my bird song. I need to have 10 victory points too. Okay. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'll keep it for now. We'll see. And that is the end of my turn. Next up is the Woodland Alliance. Now, they don't do any revolt, but they do spread sympathy here in Birdsong, and they do that in the northeast clearing that's adjacent here. So they spend, I guess they're gonna have to spend just the 1 card, and they spend investments to spread that sympathy, and they can do that because that is a mouse. And from that they gain 1 victory point. Next they decide to spend sympathy again, and this time up here in my rabbit clearing, where I have 2 recruiters, okay, but that's going to require 2 supporters to do it, because they're now further along the track, so they get to spend 2. Let's see. The first one is Ambush, so that's a rabbit card. That works. The second one is Brutal Tactics, Bird, so it's wild, you can do that. So they do get another one. Another token. And they gain another victory point. We're up to 5 now. And we're still in Birdsong. They decide to spread sympathy again. And this time, they'd like to spread it here. And they can do it. It's connected, but they need to have fox cars to do it. Let's see. Now here's one. Gently used knapsack. And then the second one. Favor with the foxes. Ah, there's that one. Okay, and then they gain a sympathy token here. And with this one, they gain 2 victory points. And now, finally, he moves into daylight phase, and he does do something there. He does decide to craft, and he's crafting this one. Woodland Runners. He has a sympathy token in a rabbit clearing. There, for instance. So he can craft that. He gains the boot and 1 victory point. And then at the end of the evening, he draws 1 more card. And first up for the Eyrie, he has to expand his decree. Let's see what he does. He does use this mouse card, mouse in a sack, to do a build decree. Finally, he's going to expand and get more roosts. And then he moves into his daylight, executing the decree. First up, he's going to recruit. He's recruiting 2 warriors here in the southeast clearing where he actually has his only roost. So he has 5 now. And then he moves 3 of his warriors from here up to this clearing where I have my cat, and there's 1 sympathy token. And then he's in a mouse clearing. Well, there is a sympathy token there, so he has to give a card, but apparently he doesn't have a mouse card, so he's going to have to, well, Woodland Alliance have to get one from the deck as a supporter card. And then for his second move, here, he did the rabbit one, he needs to do a mouse one too. He moves 2 of these bird warriors over to this fox clearing. Again, that causes outrage, and apparently he has a card. He gives that to the Woodland Alliance. And for his battle decree, he decides to attack here. He doesn't attack me, he attacks the Woodland Alliance. That's going to be an automatic win. They're defenseless. So this token will go away. Here will gain 1 victory point because he took away a token. And there will be 1 more supporter card to be given to the Woodland Alliance, but it's going to have to come from the deck. And then finally he moves into his build decree, and he can actually build in a mouse clearing right here, and he does that. He takes a roost and builds it here. And that is it for his daylight. He moves into evening, and in the evening he gains 1 victory point, so he's moving up to 2 now. And that's the end of... oh no, wait. He also gets to draw 1 card from the deck. And that's the end of the Eyrie, and then it's back to me for round 4. And then we're on round 4, and I get to start again with my birdsong phase. Place 1 wood at each sawmill, so we're going to get 2. We're going to get 2 wood this time. And then we go to daylight and the crafting phase. Well, we can't really craft, so we're not going to do that. And now we get to the interesting part, because now we get to my regular actions, right? I have 3 actions. Can't do the bird. And here's what I'm thinking. I have 8 points right now, right? I need to have 10 to play this card. So this card says, if I have 3 bird clearings, not bird clearings, 3 rabbit clearings at daylight, then I win the game. If I control 3 of them. Right now I control, well, yeah, this one here, and I control this one here, and this one here. So I do control 3. I need to make sure I keep doing that, and I can get to 10 victory points to actually activate the card. It's not, doesn't take an action. You just go ahead and put it out there, the card. So here's what we're going to do. First up, let's go ahead and attack in this clearing and attack this token here. I don't want him to revolt next turn. Now that's going to be automatic because they're defenseless and we get +1, so we get 2 damage basically there. So let's remove this one here. And we gain 1 victory point because we defeated a sympathy token. They get a card from us, ideally, but we can't give them one because we only have rabbit cards. So they're going to take one from the deck to their supporters, like that. And for the second one, to get to 10 victory points, let's go ahead and attack this one up there. We can do the exact same thing there. So we'll eliminate him. And then we gain 1 victory point. But we have to give up a card, and we do have to give up one of our 2. Let's not give up the dominance. Let's give up the command warn instead. We're going to give that to him here. And then I'm going to take the free action to activate this card. I know I've had my cards open here the whole time to show you what I have, but we're now activating it, and we can now play against this. We take this off the board. So the only way to win is by having, for us, is by having the 3 rabbit clearings. Let's see if we can make that work. Now we have 1 action left. I've taken 2, right? So I'm going to take a march action. We're going to take the 3 warriors we have over here and move them south. And then for the second part of the march action, we're going to move these 3 down to here. So I think we beefed up all the places where they can possibly do anything. Like here, we have 4 now, we control it. And we have 6 over here, and nobody can get to that one, I don't think. Very easily anyway. And that's the end of daylight. Let's move on to evening. And evening for me means just still 1 card. What do we get? Tax collector. Okay. Once in daylight, may remove 1 of your warriors from the map to draw a card, but we need to have 3 workshops, 1 in each type there. So we'll see if we're even going to need that, right? And that's the end of my turn. Next up is Woodland Alliance, and they get to do their birdsong. They start by doing a revolt up here in the northeast clearing. They're going to have to spend 2 march cards though. And there's 1. And there's the second one. So they got that. Now they get their base finally. That's the mouse base over here. And with that, they gain a number of warriors equal to how many clearings they have that are mouse clearings, and where they have sympathy. And I think they only have when there's a fox there. That's all they got. So up there, they're going to gain 1 warrior. And then you always gain an officer when you establish your base. And now at the end of their turn, well, not now, but at the end of their turn, they're going to get an extra card as well. Then after revolt, it's time for sympathy, and they do take a sympathy action. They spread sympathy over here to this clearing. And they gain a victory point as well, so they have 9 now. But that's all I can do in Birdsong. Moving on to Daylight, they decide to craft. Let's see what they craft. They craft a tax collector. So they have 1 of each. Yeah, they have a fox, mouse, and rabbit. They craft that one. Okay. They can remove 1 of their warriors from the map to draw a card once in daylight. And they don't do anything else in daylight phase. Instead, they move on to evening, and they have 1 officer now, so they can do something there. And they decide to recruit in their clearing where they have the base. So they get 1 more warrior. So now they have 2. But that's it. That's it for them. They now pull 2 cards because they have that base. So 2 cards for them in their hand. And that's the end of their turn. Next up is the Eyrie Dynasty, and they get to decide in Birdsong where they're going to put that decree. They only have 1 card, so they're going to put this one somewhere. That's a Visit to Friends, a rabbit card. They decide to put that in the Recruit decree. And then they execute their decree during daylight. First up, they decide to recruit here using their bird. So they recruit 2 because they have that charismatic leader, so they get 2 more here. And then they have to recruit somewhere where they have a roost in a rabbit clearing to match this card, and they do have that here, so they get 2 more. And then they have to move on to the move decrees, and they have 1 here for a mouse, and they decide to move 1 of these warriors over to this clearing. And then for the second one, the rabbit one, they move from this clearing up to this clearing. Next, they have to do a battle, and they decide to attack me here. So they're going to have to roll and see how they can do. And they roll 1-0, so I'm not going to do any damage. They're going to do 1, and that's going to be enough for them to kill my rabbit. So I'm going to put that there. And if I had a rabbit card, I could use Field Hospital to get him back, but I don't. This one here is actually active, this card, obviously. And then finally, they do their build action, and they have to do it in a mouse clearing. They can do it here, so they take one of their roosts, right like that, and that completes their decree. And then they move on to the evening phase. And the evening phase gives them 2 victory points here. And this also means they get 2 cards, because they have 1 visible here, and they get 1 by default. Let's give that to them. So that means they have 2 cards, and then it's my turn. And now it's my turn. And if you look at the dominance card, once, what does it say? You win the game if you roll 3 rabbit clearings at the start of your bird song. It is the start of my bird song. I do rule 3 rabbit clearings. So that's it. I win the game. So that's the end of the game. I won, surprisingly, by using dominance. I didn't think that was going to work, not that early anyway. Now, the Woodland Alliance got 9 points, and the Eyrie Dynasty got 4 points. Not very much there. Anyway, that's the end of it. Let me know what you think. Put your comments down below. And if you like this, give it a like, and let me know what you think. I'm thinking I'll do more of these challenges. There's quite a few to go through in the app. I'll catch you next time.